What is up, my ninjas? I'm Strident, and I'm back with another vlog. I wanted to talk a little bit about what I actually do, because I have this issue in which people seem to misunderstand what my goal and my purpose to my videos actually is. You know what I mean? Like, I don't make YouTube videos so that I can be a big business. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not doing this as my job because it's not my job. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do this as a, how do I put this? I do this kind of like it's a hobby, you know, in the purest sense of the word. It's a hobby. I do this to decompress after a day of work. I've had a history of very stressful work. I mean, like I said, I've worked in security for a long time. Um, the seriousness and the stressfulness of the job varied from assignment to assignment, but I mean, almost 20 years of that, it definitely stresses you out. I've worked in crisis for a long time, and I've worked with kids with, to put it lightly, issues. You know, they either come from messed up homes or just messed up situations, and they need some type of help getting things under control. And I've done this since before I became an adult. I've been working with different local organizations all over, the different places I've lived. And I always like to, when I'm done with that, come home and just like shed my work visage at the door and then come in and just dive into the family stuff and my, geek comic books and, movies and kung fu movies and martial arts and my friends and all that good stuff. So this is an escape. People get the impression that everyone who does YouTube is trying to make this their job. Now, suffice to say, I'm not trying to tell you that if this became so successful, if my view count just one day was in the millions, that I wouldn't be like, shit, I should consider not working. You know what I mean? I would probably consider it. I'd probably at least cut down on how much I work outside of that and spend more time working from home doing YouTube. My last video, I kind of apologize for it because I was frustrated, and you could just tell listening to it. I listened to it and I was like, shit, that's like my most semi-incoherent video that I've ever done. The words weren't flowing right. I was fucking tired. I had left my job, and then I was like overwhelmed with the prospect of looking for another one, but literally the next day I got another job. So, and it's a job that I had been kind of looking into for a very long time, and it finally kind of happened. So, I'm excited. But I am not doing YouTube because I want it to be this job. I don't have endless time to just make video after video after video. There's people who post videos every day. I am not one of those people. There are people who they jump on every trend because they're chasing the dollar. I don't jump on every trend because I don't fucking like every trend. I don't like every fucking thing that is associated with quote unquote geekdom or the new lucrative version of geekdom. You know what I mean? The business, the corporate version of geekdom. I've been doing this stuff that now is popular since I was like 10 years old. Keaton Batman started me on this path where I was really into it, where I'm going after toys specifically because they're geared towards a movie that I loved. Before that, I just played with toys just like any other kid. But when that movie came out, I'm like, I want everything with Keaton Bats because that was the best. That was what I imagined Batman could be in some ways. Like my little 10-year-old version, I didn't think of him killing stuff, but I thought about him beat the shit out of whatever bad guy he fought. and like to the point where they couldn't do the job again. You know what I mean? They could never heal and then, go murder people again. Like they would heal, but they'd still be broken. That's the way I always played with them because the toys would break. And I'd be like, that's right, Batman broke, Riddler's leg, or he broke Riddler's back, so Riddler can't ever get out of a wheelchair. He's never gonna. But Riddler has, brain damage from the ass whooping. I hate the Riddler, honestly. So that's why I bring up the Riddler, because I had 2 Toy Biz Riddler figures, and Batman beat the holy hell out of both of them when we played. But, seeing the Keaton Bats version was like, yep. Then I watched RoboCop. It was a wrap. I'm like, yep. Murk all of them, and then I started reading The Punisher, and I started reading Ghost Rider, and then of course Toy Biz was making figures of all of the stuff from Marvel back then, so I was collecting all of the figures from all of the different comics that I loved, and then it started to become more of a thing, because me and my friends at lunchtime, we would gather around and we would talk about this stuff at the lunch table, and geek out about, which books were better, which books had crap stories, which books had good stories, which stories were actually legit. They made sense to being part of the history of that character, as opposed to stories that were just made to cash in by a writer, or made by a writer who didn't understand the character. Because those stories exist, and right now the populace seems to be incapable of picking out those stories. Which stories are more in line with who this character is, and which stories are such a departure that they should be a what if. Because Batman has a shit ton of them, But DC lately, editorial has just been like, whatever, it's all Batman, so it all counts. And that's why right now when we have the conversation about who would win in a fight, so-and-so or so-and-so, it frustrates me to no fucking end. Because I shouldn't say no one, but few people use very basic logic to figure out that certain characters just would not do the things that they're written to do in some of these books. They just wouldn't, Like BVS, that has to be its own universe, because a lot of that shit none of the characters would do. Wonder Woman might, but everybody else would not, Lex doesn't act like that. Lex is a lot smarter. Lex is a lot more creative. Batman himself is way more creative, but he's not the be-all, end-all. The Dark Knight Returns, it has to be an Elseworlds, because there's so many characters that wouldn't have gone down according to, a mandate from the U.S. government. There's so many characters that are so good at what they do and so powerful that the U.S. government couldn't take them out. No matter what they do, they couldn't take them. Like, you telling me Mr. Terrific got shot down by the Army or the Navy or the whatever, because the president said, you guys can't do what you do, in a universe where they didn't even tell you what the problem was. What is it that happened that made, superheroes, with the exception of Superman, it made all the superheroes kind of be like, we're going to go away. What happened that made Superman say, I'm going to side with the government, the United States government, and go and fight all my colleagues that have been my colleagues for the last 40, 50 years. Or was that 10 years Batman was gone? So it's like at least 30, 40 years before that, because Batman's in his 60s. You're trying to tell me some one singular event happened? These cats went and fought Darkseid, but the government's going to say, no, the U.S. government, not the world, the United States government. This is why it's the ramblings of a crazy person. But so many people just saw Batman with a tank, and Batman kicked the shit out of Superman with a suit that had, servos and shit in it, a robotic kind of suit somewhat, or exoskeleton or whatever, and a kryptonite arrow. So they figured, that's enough to take down Superman. Like, really? And so many people don't use their own cognitive skills, their own deductive reasoning to say, I like this story, but it's an Elseworlds story because it couldn't happen like this. To the point where you can dismiss 95% of the like DC Universe proper stories, the prime DC Universe. You could dismiss those stories in which Batman just murders Superman because it doesn't make sense. There's not enough kryptonite, number one. for all these villains to have been made by kryptonite and for Batman to always have kryptonite after he's used it. It's just not enough. Superman's not that stupid that he would be like, hey guys, kryptonite for everyone. Like, really? So you're telling me somebody went to the atmosphere of where Krypton used to be and just gathered up all the rocks and brought them to Earth? It's a whole nother fucking galaxy away. It could be a whole nother universe away. And somehow it all ended up here. Like, Cal was sent here in a ship with coordinates to land on Earth in our solar system, to travel all that way. You're trying to tell me the explosion sent debris all the way over here? This is the kind of shit that, like, when I was getting into comics, me and my friends, Prime can tell you about that. This is the kind of shit we spoke about. And then we got over it, and we were on the Image train, you know, because Image was new. I met a bunch of the Image dudes, my favorite ones, Valentino, Larson, Silvestri, and Lee. I met them the year Image started. Jim Lee gave me a portfolio review of my shitty little, you know, what grade was I in? Like 6th or 7th grade portfolio, something like that. He gave me a review, and it was an honest review. He told me what I was lacking in, and he told me what he was impressed with, and he told me what I need to work on. And he told me my anatomy was insane for my age. He was like, keep that shit up, and you'll be doing comics as an adult. I'm doing comics as an adult. I've been doing comics as an adult. I've been illustrating more so, but I've done comics as an adult. And right now, that's what I'm doing. So it's kind of awesome to have had that happen when it happened. And you've seen the path Jim Lee's career's taken. I mean, he's in charge of DC. So I am 100%, this is the life. This is the life that I live. It's not something that I'm trying to do because it's fucking popular right now. So whether or not I'm doing another job, I always come back to comics and, you know, quote unquote geekdom. But YouTube is just an outlet for that so I can vibe with other people that do it. My frustration comes with the fact that you have a lot of pretenders. You have a lot of people that are capitalizing, that are getting all this attention, but the actual people who live this life, the folks that, the older geeks, the folks that, like, this is all we do all the time, they're flocking to those people. They're not flocking to the genuine people who are doing it, and it's not necessarily motivated by money. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be where we flock to the folks, the real folks that do this because we love it, not the folks that are doing it because it's a job and it will make us money. You know, we're not exploiting. I'm not exploiting any geeks. You know what I mean? I just want to talk to you guys. I want to geek out with you. I want to hear how this stuff impacted you in your life. I want to tell you about the way it impacted me in my life. And I just want to have that kind of conversation. And whenever, you know, we need to stop and just talk about superheroes, we could do it. When we need to stop and talk about kung fu movies, we could just do that. When you want to talk about action figures and all that shit, we can just do that. There's no other ulterior motive. You like art? Hey, I make art. Let me show you what I do. If you want to see more, if you want me to send stuff to you, you want me to do this on a bigger scale, I have a Patreon. You know what I mean? Contribute a little bit, and it can help me do this shit more often and at a higher volume, you know? Printing costs money. I don't know how many cartridges I go through on a monthly basis. You know, printing fucking costs money. Sending shit out costs money. You know, making these videos and not working extra hours at my job, that's money. You know, and I'm an artist. I do this shit for real. And I've been told many a time before it became a somewhat of a cliche, but it's the truth. If you do something well, never do it for free. So I'm already doing these videos for free. I think I'm doing pretty good at these. They're not perfect because it is YouTube. You know what I mean? And when it's necessary, I can put in more time. But if I'm just trying to tell you about something, like I told you, this is not a business for me. I'm just doing it for fun. When I'm just trying to tell you something, I'm just going to get on my mic and tell you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to go through all this extra stuff and create this, like, this super polished documentary. No, that's not necessary. I'm just talking to you. That's all. All this is a delivery system for us to geek out with. You know, when it's necessary, when it's something real big, and I gotta sit down and get into it and give you the nitty gritty. The polish will be there because I know how to do that. You know what I mean? And I like higher presentation when it's necessary, but for just like any old little thing, it's gonna be good presentation. That's it. And my presentation is a lot better than the majority of folks that are put. And this is just objective. This is an objective, factual statement. My presentation is better than a lot of the other guys that do this stuff. And I'm not trying to big up my own self. What I'm saying is, if I saw these videos and it wasn't by me, I'd want to watch them because the presentation is up there. It's concise. It's broken up into chunks so you understand what's what. If you just want to hear if the figure is good or if it's bad or if it does all the thing it's supposed to do, you can skip to the bottom line. It's that simple. You guys know the deal by now, If you want to see what the paint looks like, you want to see up close, how does this figure look? You go to Sculpt and Paint, right? Who else is doing it like that? Nobody. So, I'm not sitting here with my fingers always all up in the way. I'm not telling you, I'm not speaking in soliloquies and shit so that you feel a false sense of importance to this figure or hype, unnecessary fucking hype to a figure. No. I tell you how this figure line impacted me, and then I tell you the facts about what the figure is going to be like, what it can do, what it can't do, what I see, and I show you so that if you see things that I didn't, you can point it out in the comments, and then I get straight to the fucking point. What is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it a half-assed attempt? Is it another good figure in a line of good figures? Is it, quality or not? And that's what I give you. So it's because I wanted that when I was looking for videos on these subjects, When I was looking for Kamen Rider Phi's information, I saw lots of videos with a lot of pretty pictures. And I was like, damn, that figure looks dope. I have to get it because it's my favorite. He was my favorite Heisei era Kamen Rider. But none of the videos really went in depth about, except for one guy, and his videos, the quality was always kind of but he got the facts out there to a ridiculous degree. His name was Actar's Figure Reviews. He reviewed a lot of Japanese figures that I ended up buying because he gave you facts. The quality of his videos were suspect, but I assume it's because he spent more money on the figures than he did on the setup because, like me, he's a geek for this stuff, and he would have done it anyway. This is for fun. And this was before YouTube was all super corporate, so he definitely wasn't making money off these videos. So, shout out to Actar. Thank you. I'll try and put a link to his channel in the description of this video. But the purpose, the whole point I'm getting at is that, in my last video, it sounded like I didn't know what I was going to be doing. The part I don't know about is how long I'm going to continue doing this on YouTube specifically, because I'm tired of every couple months, every couple years, there's some kind of drama with the way that we make videos. And most of us don't do the shit that they're trying to weed out. So it's frustrating that instead of dealing with the specific people who do what they do that's wrong, who create the problem, who somehow went against the guidelines, the YouTube, code of conduct or whatever, instead of going after them, they just blanketly go after all of us. And we all pay for the sins of a few. And I think that's stupid. It just never works out when that's the way you treat everyone, especially when it's a platform that was created for us. So this is my more articulated version of what you heard in that previous video. I might take that shit down because it's kind of embarrassing that it was so just all over the place. Like I said, my thoughts were just all because I was going through it. You know what I mean? And it's frustrating to have to go through all this stuff and try to, make sense of it. It's frustrating. On top of your regular life shit, you got to come to your outlet, and your outlet is telling you, oh, you're not good enough, essentially. Like, fuck you. Without me and others like me, you have nothing. You just got space. we fill up that space with content that you guys take way more. I mean, like the cost of CPMs for all these videos. They usually sell the shares for you know $20-$30 a but we get them for like $1, $5. How's that make sense? So they tell your MCNs, YouTube, etc. They tell you, oh, guess what? So your cost per CPM is going to be like $1. It's $5, but we're going to split it. Blah blah blah. You'll get $1 off of it, and we'll get the rest. Or you'll get $2, and we'll get the rest, or whatever. But in reality, they're getting $20-$30, and you're getting $2 of it. You know what I mean? Thousands and thousands of views of ads on your videos. They're making hundreds and hundreds and thousands off of these ads. And I don't mean like the specific view. I'm saying not only are they making money per view of the ad, they're making money because you're giving awareness, because that's what an ad is for, to things that most of the time aren't even related to what it is that you're reviewing or you're showcasing. And people are seeing that shit. Sometimes it's the right people, because sometimes they match up. But it's bringing people to these products, and they're making money. Meanwhile, you get a check. Most regular folks that have under 1 million subscribers, under 10,000 subscribers, you get a check for like 20, 15 to, we'll say $10 to $30 a month. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? So the whole thing is not necessarily beneficial to us, on a larger scale. Even the fact that they demonetize videos and don't tell you exactly why they demonetized it. They tell you that some videos that are set up to be, you can pass your videos in to be reviewed by a human, a live person. And they tell you that it's been processed by a live person, and it passed the review. But then that same video months later could show up again with a content ID strike or something. Really? Or it could be demonetized just because. Really? Why are you going over shit you already went over? So is a human actually looking at this or not? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many problems with this thing, and you only hear the same ones from the same outlets. You know what I mean? The popular outlets only go so far when they study this shit, and they tell you the same thing over and over. Meanwhile, the little guys who we care a little bit more because we just want to do this and we don't want to deal with the drama, but when we get the drama, it pisses us off, and we want to understand why we're getting the drama, we go into a little bit more detail about it so that we can give you guys an idea and an understanding of what's going on. We don't get the attention. Something's wrong with that. You know what I mean? This isn't corporate regular television. This is YouTube. There should be a difference. But the whole point of this video is just to outline the reasons why there are things that you don't see on my channel that you see on others. I'm not doing this to chase the dollar. That's just not what I'm here for. Me and my ninjas, typically, we just want a place to talk about this shit. Now, I say this, and if I was to move tomorrow, most of you would stick with YouTube because you're used to YouTube. Most of you wouldn't migrate with me. I'm going to start moving a lot of things to Patreon, because I feel like even though I only have 3 patrons, they pay attention and follow and move where I'm going, and it's beneficial for them and for me. I said I want to geek out with you, so if I can push something out there for people to actually go and geek out and then get back to me immediately, and like if I say I'm working on a thing and they say they want to check on what I'm doing, they want to keep abreast in what I'm working on, this is the way to do it. You know what I mean? And it works. I don't know. I'm just annoyed. I'm annoyed with some of this stuff. And that's what was coming through in the past video. I like doing, wow, that's pretty cool. Sorry, someone just sent me something about some figures. It's one of my homeboys in India. Um, but yeah, I like talking about action figures in detail. You know, I like talking about martial arts film. I like talking about martial arts. I like talking about um, I really like talking about import action figures. I like talking about when I was a kid, what I did with my figures and how I learned, that I liked certain things. I got into GI Joe hardcore over the past 10 years. Um, and then like I feel like I've gotten to a point where now I'm just gonna appreciate what I got. I don't need to jump on the bandwagon of some new shit. I've gotten a lot of the things that I love. I've managed to get two of the three holy grails of my childhood from GI Joe, and I didn't even come close to breaking the bank. I think the two holy grails combined don't even come close to the cost of what some of them go for on eBay. I have a Defiant that's almost complete. It's like 97% complete. And I didn't even pay maybe I paid a third, if that, of what the Defiant usually goes for incomplete. Like fully incomplete. My MMC, or MCC, I'm sorry, I don't want to say MMC. The MCC, it's 100% complete. I paid $100 for it at a convention. $100 for it, and actually, it was a gift that cost $100. That's what I should say. And I never thought that I would pick those things up for anywhere near that. So it's one of those things that I like that I was able to do this. I like that by meeting people through this hobby, I was able to find things and geek out about it. Like me and ODC, we're going to do it again this year. We're going to go to that toy show here in Columbus. We might even try to hit up some others. I'm going to try to go to JoeCon. Hopefully that won't be, insane price-wise. I'm going to do a couple more G.I. Joe prints. I actually did that one of Tiger Force Jinx. I still have the female Cobra Trooper one, and I'm going to do a couple other favorites of mine. I got to do some Beachhead artwork. And I'm going to have those at JoeCon. You know what I mean? I'm going to also have those on Patreon so that, and links to where to buy them if you want to buy them. I'm going to put them on T-shirts. I'm going to do all kinds of shit with them. So the idea is I want to put things that I do out there so that we can either geek out about it, or if you like it, you can buy it. You know what I mean? Just like anyone else that makes art and does a decent job at it, And my channel is just the delivery system to let you know what's going on and to let you know my opinion on stuff so that we can talk about it or not. Or you can just know, you can be made aware of things that are out there. I don't want to, I'm not necessarily looking at YouTube as a second job. I mean, sometimes it feels like it because of the way that everybody's so fickle when it comes to stuff. You got to do the new thing. I collect G.I. Joes. What's new about G.I. Joe? You know what I mean? I collect figure arts mostly on Kamen Riders who've been off the air for longer than some of the viewers watching my channel have been alive. What's new about that? You know what I'm saying? Like, when you think about it, I collect Marvel Legends of characters that haven't looked like this for longer than some of the viewers on my channel have been alive. You know what I mean? Or at least they haven't looked like that for the majority of the time that these viewers have been alive. Because maybe when you were a baby, that's when the shit stopped. That's when it changed, Because many of the viewers are fairly young. They were born, just at the beginning of the new millennium. So a lot of stuff changed right then and there. A lot of you saw 50th anniversary G.I. Joes in the store, or you saw Retaliation G.I. Joes in the store, but you have no idea how amazing it was before that. You know what I mean? All through the 80s and the 90s, and even the Pursuit of Cobra era and Rise of Cobra era. When you go to that aisle, back when Rise of Cobra came out, there was a whole fucking aisle of just G.I. Joe. In Walmarts and Toys R Us's, even at Target. And when the like in the year or so afterwards, they were still making those things. They were still having huge aisles full of clearance because there was just so much product out there. That's why the stuff still turns up in discount stores till this day. And that was what, 2008, 2009? It's 2018. It's almost 10 years ago. Almost. And we still got product, finding its way around us in different places because they were doing something right back then. Some would say it's overkill, but overkill is better than like underkill or undercutting because you have so much of the product, you have to make the money. I know that there are more specifics that would say that it's not necessarily the greatest thing, but at least the product got out there. There are more people who can speak to the quality of the thing than there are that cannot. And, whether or not they got their money via the first release or the discount store, releases, when they sold a big chunk to different discount stores, they got their money, So, there's some of you that you really have a limited idea of what it is we're talking about. But like, I've been around through all this stuff, and I'm not even that old. So like, I'm not trying to be the new hip, whatever. I'm just talking to those who feel where I'm coming from and those who want to know what I'm talking about. That's it. So if it does become successful, hey, that's a plus. If it does become a big thing, that's a plus. It's kind of like I say this at work because I've been a supervisor for a long time. And I say, I didn't come to work to be your best friend. I came here to get a job done. We don't have to like each other. We just got to get the job done. If we do like each other and we become friends, that is a bonus and a half. That's awesome. If not, we still got this work to do. So let's do this work and go to our happy place. You know what I mean? Story over. So the same goes here, essentially. If you like what I'm saying, awesome. Let's vibe. If you don't, you don't have to. Go on about your business. It's done. You know what I mean? But I don't want to be lumped in with the folks who are trying to take advantage of people like us, because that's not the case. And I don't want people to get the wrong idea that this is another one of those channels that was designed to, take your nostalgia cookie, because that's not what I'm here for. Or I'm here to capitalize on the fact that you're a geek and do every popular thing so that I can make money. That's not the case. I'm not interested in that. I'm terrible at the business part of stuff, which you probably can tell because, like I said, I do very different stuff. I'm on the opposite end of the spectrum to what's popular right now. Every now and then I fall in line because there's things that pop up now, like the MCU. I love it. Like the looks of the DCU stuff. I love that. But I don't love, well, some of it I love. I hate the Flash's costume. Good God. I hate it. And I have a little bit of issues with Cyborg's design. But overall, I love the look of movie stuff. So from time to time, I will jump into the movie discussion. I mean, and it is what's hot right now. So that's one of those times where I'll fall into, whatever's going on. But typically, I'm on the polar opposite end of the spectrum. I don't like Star Wars like that. There's cool stuff in it, but I'm not a geek for Star Wars, I'm not into, modern comics. I just don't enjoy them. So you don't see me really talking so much about modern comics like I used to. I used to talk about comics, and I would always go back to a few years before whatever is going on right now, because my era was the 90s and somewhat the early 2000s. Well, the 80s and the 90s, but more so the 90s and the early 2000s. And lately, I haven't been feeling what they're doing. We're in a weird place where people just make shit because it sells, and it's not necessarily because it's quality. And that's just not my thing. I don't enjoy that stuff. So anyway, I've talked long enough, Don't lump this channel in with what everyone else is doing. This isn't a business. Not a traditional business, if anything. This is more of an outlet for me to geek out with you. And if it becomes something more, that's a bonus. So anyway, as usual, I'm Strident. This is my story and I'm sticking to it. You guys have been great, and I will catch you on the next video. Peace outside.